How would you like to win $100 worth of art supplies? Keep on listening. I will tell you how in a few moments. But first of all, the brand new single from the Elastic Band. It is an awesome song, and here's the music video. You saw it first right here.
I'd really like to sing a song, but I haven't got much to say. I'd really like to play a tune, but I've got nothing to play. I'd love to write the perfect tune, to write the perfect song, but I can't. So would you please hum along? I'd really like to write a hit and have it on the radio. I'd like to play a rhythm that would make you tap your toes. I'd love to write the perfect tune, to write the perfect song, but I can't. So would you please hum along?
I've got a $100 art pack to give away from Gordon Harris, and I'd love you to win it. I'll tell you how you can win it in a few moments, but first of all, let's have a fashion show.
Lights, camera, action! Bellowed a wiry man with a black beret balanced on his head. The models backstage tried not to show they were nervous. It was the year's biggest event. Even such professionals as Mary Jones, who'd won the Rural Miss Tween show the year before, had a few butterflies in her stomach. The show was the school's annual fundraiser. Normally it was something like a bake sale or a silent auction. But this year the head teacher decided to think big. The bright lights clicked on, the music blared, the models were off. First off was Cassandra, wearing a vivid blue and green number. Her sea-like dress rippled as she moved. She even had a tiny octopus stuck to her left shoulder. Cassandra swished down the catwalk as if she'd been doing it all her life. In fact, only a couple of hours before, she'd been so nervous about standing up in front of everyone, she hadn't been sure she could go through with it. Emma followed soon after. She was wearing an elegant navy blue dress and trying desperately to perfect her model's swagger. It wasn't as easy as it looked, walking in time to the music and remembering to turn and pose at the right moment, and not to bump into another model as you walk past them, or trip over, or fall off the end of the catwalk. It wasn't all female fashion though. The boys came out next wearing posh tuxedos. Jamie Henson strutted along like he'd seen proper models do. He tried not to look at his auntie frantically waving in the front row. Honestly, doesn't she know he's a professional? Alex was next, dressed in full army combats. He had streaks of green paint across his face and his hair was all roughed up. All the girls thought he looked very cool indeed. And on the show went. There was Sally, dressed as a young bride. She'd borrowed her mum's wedding dress, and after it had been taken up a bit, it fitted her a treat. On top of her head was a shiny silver tiara. Except, disaster! Just as Sally spun round from doing a pose at the end of the catwalk, the tiara fell off and landed a few feet away. Jeremy was busy modelling a summer beach look and hadn't noticed. He was bouncing a rubber beach ball as he strutted along when, bang! The ball landed directly on top of the tiara and burst into tiny pieces. Well, it gave the audience quite a fright. At first, there was a moment's stunned silence before everyone started to cheer. They thought it had been planned and loved the surprise stunt. All too soon, the show was coming to an end. The final designs were part of the costumes out of household items. Well, the clear winner was Lindy. She'd made an evening dress out of dozens of pieces of toilet roll and kitchen paper. It was spectacular! 4 pieces of kitchen roll made up the straps. Then there was a flat bodice, an extravagant skirt complete with toilet paper ruffles. Lindy took a big curtsy as she was presented with her prize and thanked the audience for coming, and in response, a standing ovation. The show was a success.
Draw me a picture of that fashion show garment, quite a weird one it was too. Send it in to me. Have your teacher take a photo of your picture. Head along to our website, that'sthestory.co.nz. Click on Contact Us. You can upload your picture from there. Send it in to me and I will pick one to win a $100 art pack from Gordon Harris. Now, here's another competition. I've got some clues for you. Listen very carefully. There's a prize at the end of this.
When in his story am I?
On January 10th of this year, Ukrainian bacteriologist Vladimir Hufkine performs the first human trial for a vaccine for the plague on himself during the Bombay epidemic. On January the 11th of this year, M.H. Cannon becomes the first woman state senator in the United States of America. This was also the year that Amelia Earhart was born.
When in his story am I?
So, if you think you know what year it is that I was talking about, head along to our website, that'sthestory.co.nz. Click on Contact Us, send your answer from there. First correct answer will win one of these. Now, let's see what Norbert and Milo are up to.
Norbert and Milo's knock knock.
Hey Milo! Norbert, don't tell me you've got another knock knock joke. Sure do, knock knock. Okie dokie, who's there? Who? Hoo bugs. Want one? They're yummy. That's truly disgusting, Norbert. But they do look delicious.
Gosh, that Norbert and Milo are a pretty weird bunch. Now, don't forget to draw a picture of that garment from that fashion show that won. Send your picture in to me. Have your teacher take a photo of the picture that you draw. Head to our website, that'sthestory.co.nz. Click on Contact Us and you can upload your picture from there. I will choose one to win a $100 art pack from Gordon Harris.
Kevin had no idea what was on the other side of the fence. He just knew there was something and there was no arguing about that. Kevin had moved into number 19 Eastbrook Terrace just yesterday, and today he was exploring the backyard. There were nooks, there were crannies, there were heaps of places he could build huts and tunnels in the bushes and make forts and have all kinds of wonderful make-believe games. But it was the farthest corner of the backyard where Kevin found something rather disturbing, a visitor from another planet. He was busy investigating this farthest part of the backyard, humming as he went when he heard a voice. "Hello," it spoke, as if through the very fence itself. Kevin was a little nervous and quite a lot scared. "Hello," he said back to the voice. "I'm Kevin," he said with a shaky voice. "What's your name?" There was silence for a moment, and then came back, "Maribek, I'm not from here." This made Kevin take a big gulp. "Where are you from?" he asked. "Far away," the voice answered mysteriously. The kids at school would never believe this. "So, you're not from here?" Kevin asked Maribek, and Maribek answered even more mysteriously. "I live with my family at Planet Fish." And Kevin's eyes nearly popped out. "Wow," he thought to himself, "what's Planet Fish like?" He asked Maribek, imagining a world where people had gills and could swim in the sea. Maribek answered Kevin's question. "Fishy." "Fishy?" thought Kevin, and then he thought, well, it's a planet of fish after all. And then Kevin asked, "Why are you here?" And Maribek answered, "Visiting relatives," which Kevin thought was quite plausible, as the people next door did have a fish pond. Perhaps they'd visited Earth earlier. "So, how did you get here?" asked Kevin. There was nothing from the other side of the fence for quite some time. "In my dad's car," answered Maribek. And Kevin asked, "Does everyone have a car on your planet?" And Maribek answered, "No, my older brother and sister have one, but me and my mother don't." Kevin was a little nervous of the next question, but he had to ask. "Can I visit your planet, Fish?" And Maribek sounded quite keen.
"Oh yes, many people visit Planet Fish, 9 till 6:30 every day, except Sundays."
"Kevin, lunch is ready." It was Kevin's dad. He'd been making homemade fish and chips. "I gotta go." and he ran inside to tell his mum and dad all about his meeting an alien from Planet Fish. Maribek was sitting in the back seat of his dad's car. His mum was in the front passenger seat.
I met Uncle Pat's new neighbours.
Maribek said to his parents, "Could you please stop playing with that voice changer? It's driving me nuts." Maribek put the present his Uncle Pat had given him on the back seat of the car. "Sorry, Dad." Maribek undid his seatbelt as they arrived home. "Can I go and play with them next time we're at Uncle Pat's?" His dad agreed and said that would be nice as he unlocked the back door to their home that was above a shop whose sign read, "Planet Fish, suppliers of quality fresh fish, open 6 days."
I think it's time we were introduced to a young man called Dippity Uppity.
Dippity Uppity was very excited. He'd just driven all the way into town in his brand new buggymobile to pick up his very first Digimy-What's-It. Dippity Uppity had never had his own Digimy-What's-It before. Of course, he knew how to play one. Dippity Uppity's very best friend Lionel had a Digimy-What's-It, and, in anticipation of Dippity Uppity getting his own, Lionel had been patiently teaching Dippity the chords on Sunday afternoons. Dippity Uppity was now quite good at playing the Digimy-What's-It, and Lionel had convinced Dippity that he was now ready to buy his own. The Digimy-What's-It was new, clean and shiny. Dippity Uppity sat and admired it as it sparkled inside its very own strawberry pink carry case. Dippity Uppity was almost too scared to touch his new Digimy-What's-It. It was like having new shoes. You knew that as soon as you wore them, they wouldn't be quite new anymore. But Dippity Uppity also knew that he had lots to do and that he needed the brand new Digimy-What's-It straight away. Because he'd been practicing extra long on Lionel's Digimy-What's-It, Dippity Uppity had decided that he was ready to play in public. He'd been saving long and hard to buy his own Digimy-What's-It, and, as a special treat upon purchase, Dippity had invited some friends over to hear his grand Digimy-What's-It debut. Dippity Uppity was going to have high tea in the garden and entertain his guests with some classic Digimy-What's-It tunes. It was midday. Dippity Uppity had 3 hours to practice and get ready before his friends arrived. All afternoon long, Dippity Uppity practiced his tunes on his Digimy-What's-It. The neighbours next door slammed their door shut and closed their windows. Dippity Uppity was thick-skinned. He didn't care what the neighbours thought. Lionel had said that Dippity's Digimy-What's-It playing was some of the best he'd ever heard. Dippity Uppity practiced long and hard. At 3 p.m. precisely, Dippity Uppity's guests arrived. Dippity was quite nervous. He'd only ever played the Digimy-What's-It in front of Lionel. He hoped that he wouldn't make any mistakes. Dippity Uppity's friends sat in the garden sipping tea and nibbling on Dippity's homemade scones. The concert was about to begin, and Dippity took a deep breath, a short bow, and then brought the Digimy-What's-It up to his lips, and then he played. Dippity Uppity played his Digimy-What's-It like he'd never played it before. His notes soared and they peaked, they troughed and they floated. The neighbours closed their curtains, but Dippity still played on. The sound of the Digimy-What's-It echoed around the garden, and up and down and into the street beyond. The Digimy-What's-It was very, very loud, and Dippity Uppity felt fantastic. At the end of Dippity's concert, his friends clapped and cheered. They all agreed that Dippity Uppity was the best Digimy-What's-It player that they'd ever heard. They decided that they'd start a band, and Dippity Uppity could be the star player. Dippity Uppity was very happy indeed. Seemed that he had finally found his calling in life. He and his Digimy-What's-It were bound to become inseparable, much to the neighbours' discontent.
That's my lot for another week. I hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget, if you would like me to do a shout out to you and your mates, head along to our website, that'sthestory.co.nz. Click on Contact Us and send me your message from there. I could be doing a shout out to you and your mates on next week's show. Speaking of next week's show, I'll catch you then. Ka kite anō.
I wanna hear the one about the big old plum tree. I wanna hear the one about the giggly bumblebee. I wanna hear the one about the juggly jumping flea. That's the story that I wanna hear. That's the story. That's the story.
Bye.